Buddy, and welcome to another of my video series where I'm looking at various AI agents and giving them the same task. Basically, to come up with a new simple template for my blog. I've done this 3 times so far with different agents, and obviously, very different results. But I have been successful in getting, basic HTML and basic CSS, and giving me a few options to compare. Now, for today, I'm going to do the Gemini CLI from Google. This was suggested to me. I will say, if you look at the documentation for it, it's very clear that Gemini Code Assist Agent Mode in VS Code is powered by Gemini CLI. Now, my second video was on Gemini Code Assist in VS Code. So technically, I'm doing the same thing, but I've played a little bit with this in the Gemini CLI, and the UX is definitely a bit different. It's not the same as direct integration in VS Code, and let's just see what happens. So. I've got VS Code. I guess I am in VS Code, but I'm going to be using from the terminal the Gemini CLI. And I also have a web browser running, a web server running, and a web browser running. Again, my basic prompt is about making a new blog, developer centric, and I'm very clear about no build process, just HTML, CSS, and try not to do any JavaScript, although a blank file is fine. No frameworks, something that's dark green and should be responsive. And again, this is the exact same prompt that I'm using everywhere. So let's see what happens. I'm going to run Gemini, and it's giving me a prompt. So ask questions, edit files, run commands, etc. Be specific. Uh, or I could do a path to a file. And I copied my basic prompt in there, and look at it auto suggest. Let's see, basic prompt.text, hit enter, and there we go, hit enter for real. And I could see it is doing some work. So it's conceptualizing a new, it's already moved on. And it's moving. And you know what? So it's asking if it can write files. I'm going to say always allow. And is it working? Waiting for you. So let's try that again. Yes, allow always, allow always. It's asking me a bunch of times. That's oh, you know what? I bet she was asking me once for each file, which, okay, that is fine. So it is working. Get through the files already in here. And one thing I'm seeing in the terminal in VS Code is that it's not scrolling well. I can say when I tested this in a regular terminal, it did not have any trouble with that. And maybe it's a setting I have wrong in VS Code. But it is creating post.html. I really love how descriptive it is. Let me try not scrolling and see if it stays at the bottom. It seems to be, and it's done. Index HTML, post HTML style, and an empty script.js. The email's dark green, responsive, framework free design. And let's just see. Let's reload this, and oh, look, there it is. And honestly, if we ignore all that weird guy scrolling there as I make that terminal too small, this is fairly good. So right away, I see the link color for read more is not great. Let's go into a post, and post is perfectly fine. So let's try to get it to correct the link color. I'm gonna say change the link color or read more to be more clear. Maybe a bold white or something else, not the default blue. All right, so it's working, and I've already given it permission to write the file, so I should not have to do that again. It's coding the solution. It's doing all kinds of fun stuff. Seems like a lot of work for a simple CSS change, but I do want to see what it does. It's adding new styles. I like that I can cancel it if I'm like, don't do this anymore. And there we go. Yeah, bold white. And it's better than the basic blue. But I like that. That's not bad. The only, like honestly, the only thing I think that I'd want to change, honestly, is maybe having a little bit less space between the date and the title. That seems a little excessive. So can you reduce the vertical padding between blog titles and the date published? Reduce by about half. That's nice and vague. And we all know AI tools love vagueness, but let's just see what it does. And I'll put my mouse up here, see if we can see the movement in real time. I should say the HTTP server I'm using um, has live reloads. That's why I'm not having to go in here and change much. And I did not see a change at all. That's odd. But at this point, I'm fine tweaking this myself. So all in all, pretty good. Again, we saw a bit of odd UI in the terminal in VS Code, but I do have this pretty scrunched up. So I don't blame code. I don't blame Visual Studio Code or the Gemini CLI for that. This is a good response. So, like with my other examples, I'll be copying this to the repository. You'll be able to see now all four versions of this and compare the results. I'm going to do one more. Got to figure out what that is, and then I'm going to blog this all and share everything for people to see.